Welcome my fellow freedom builders to this channel, Building Freedom. If you're new to the channel, my name is Hans Nielsen and I am here to give you some inspiration and ideas as how to build a financially free future. Today we're gonna take a look at two different numbers, two factors as I call them. One is called my salary factor and the other is called my freedom factor. And it's not complicated. There's a bit of math, but nothing that you can do with a little calculator or your iPhone or whatever. But it is very important numbers because they can be used to track your progress towards financial freedom. So bear with me here, just a bit of math, but not complicated. The first one, salary factor, or just SF that I make it short for in all my notes. The salary factor is basically just my income divided by my expenses. So let's say for instance that I have $10,000 in income. We can write it over here. I have $10,000 in income from online sources. It could be stock investing, it could be currency algorithms, it could be book selling, it could be my subscription area, it could be anything. I'll make a video later about all the different income streams I have. But let's say I have $10,000 in income. And let's say that I have monthly expenses for everything. Car, house, kids, presents, vacations, everything. I have monthly expenses at $5,000. Then I divide these two like this. And 10,000 divided by 5,000 equals 2. So my salary factor in a month like this is 2.0. Now what does that tell me? It doesn't really tell me much except from that I know that I have money to spare, I have money, excess of money in the end of every month. As long as this number is above 1.0, I'm taking in more money than I need every single month. And as you might remember from the video where I mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad, the book by Robert Kiyosaki, he said that it was important to have an income larger than your expenses and that this excess of money every month should be invested in new assets that produce more income for you. So it could be, of course, if you're new to this, it could be that you still need $5,000. It could be that you have some job, still some full-time job, and that you're slowly building some sort of extra income stream and that you're making $500 every single month, which is also quite a fair amount of money. But you still have expenses every month for $5,000. That makes 500 divided by 5,000 makes your salary factor 0.1. I don't care if it is 0.1 or 5.0. What I do think is important is that you start tracking this number. Because what you can do here is that you can do that in an Excel spreadsheet or just on a piece of paper. And you can map this one out, going from 0.1 up to 1.0, meaning that you can cover all your monthly expenses by what you get in from passive or semi-passive income streams every month. And then you can track month for month for month for month and see that hopefully this one is getting better and better and better. And you can set some goals. And believe me, when you start tracking this, you will get a laser focus on getting this number better. Because let's say for instance that you are in a situation like this and you say, well, I would like that number to be better. So what you can do here is that you can lower your expenses. Let's say that you actually can get them down to 4,000. Then this number goes up. So you can raise your income or you can minimize your expenses, and both things will make this number better. The sooner you get to 1.0 or above, the sooner you will get financially free. However, just by getting to 1.0 doesn't guarantee you complete freedom. Because let's say for instance that I have written some books, which I have, and that gives me a fair amount each month because a lot of people still buying them. So they are putting money into my income here in top of the equation. But what if people stopped buying my books? That could easily be. That could be new books, better books that people started buying, and then my income would decrease. Then I would have to invent new forms of income to make sure that my income stays at a level where I'm taking in more than I need every single month. But that is not complete freedom, is it? No, so we need to get to what I call the freedom factor. And to draw the freedom factor here, just let me clean my whiteboard and I'll be back in a second. So let's take a look at the freedom factor. The freedom factor takes a bit more of calculation, but it's not hard, so stay with me here. What we need here is our monthly expenses. Our monthly expenses, we're just setting that to $5,000 just to make it easy. Then we have to times that by 12 so that we have a year's worth of expenses, and that makes $60,000. Now, this number could be anything. If you're single, living in a cheap flat with no car, no kids, etc., and don't spend much money, maybe that is $2,000. But let's just make it $5,000 here for this case. Times 12 equals $60,000. Now $60,000 is what you need to get every single year to make sure that you can pay all of your expenses. Then, to be truly free and you don't have to lift a finger for the rest of your life, we need a passive investment that you don't have to maintain, you don't have to spend time looking at it. And the best thing I can find here is the stock market. And well, you might say, well, Hans, the stock market, isn't that a bit risky and it goes up and it goes down? And yes, it does. But over decades, if you look at the average on the stock exchanges, and if you buy what is called a market ETF or a mutual fund that covers the entire market, then on average per year you will get somewhere around 7 or 8%. You can look that up, it goes way back. Of course, some years will make you 30% and some years will be minus 20. But that's how it is. On average, we're going for 7% per year. So to find out how much money we need in our account to be completely financially free in a way where we don't have to actively invest, but just put the money into the market and that's it, we need to make a little calculation here. We need to take the 60,000 and divide it by the percentage you think you can get. And let's say that is 7%. You might say it's 8 or 6 or whatever, but let's just say that it is 7% divided by 100, because that is 0.07. If we divide 60,000 with 0.07 here, we get something like $857,000. That is how much you need in your account at 7% per year to make sure that you have $60,000 every year to pay your expenses. Of course, more would be nice, because you would have some extra cash if one year you were down 20%, etc. But this is just a calculation to have something to track. Now we need to do a little calculation extra, because this is just the number you need. You also want to know how far are you in the process of getting to that number. And let's say, for instance, that you just started and you've been able to save up, just to make it easy for my calculation skills here, that you have $8,570 in your account, and what you need is $857,000. Then you divide these two. This one divided by this one equals 0.01. That means that you have achieved 1% of your goal. So when this one gets up to 1.0, meaning that you have $857,000 here divided by $850,000 equals 1. That means you have reached your goal. This might take 10 or 15 or 20 years. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you start the process and that you start tracking this. Because the second you start tracking it, your focus gets really intense on reaching this goal. And you might start to try to lower this. Let's say, for instance, that this only was $2,000 because somehow you really got to reduce your expenses. That would make this one $24,000 per year. You would only need $24,000 per year. And if you divide that by the 7% here that I talked about in the beginning, I did a little pre-calculation here. That means that you only, I know it's still a large number, but you only need $342,000, so that it will be much easier to get to 1.0. And again, make a little Excel spreadsheet so that you can track the progress towards the 1.0. And of course we would like more, we would like 2.0 or 10.0, because that would mean that we are even more free, or have we can raise this even more, we can start spending more money without really risking our fund. So this is the freedom factor. A bit more complex calculation, but I hope you get the point. So a quick recap. What we have here is the salary factor, where we have the income divided by the expenses. That shows you how close you are, at least if the income is purely passive or semi-passive and online income. If that is 10,000 and your expenses is 5,000, well, as I mentioned earlier, then you have a 2.0. But it's not certain that you are at above 1.0 yet. But it should be a process of getting there. And the money that you make every month, let's say that you make the 10,000 and have expenses at 5,000, well, these $5,000 should go into this account, so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and earns more and more and more money. So it's not that when I reach this goal and I'm completely financially free, it's not that I'll stop working. Not at all. I love my work. I love doing videos. I love investing. I love talking about investments. But I know that if something happened to me or my family, it could be severe illness or something, I know that I could liquidate my entire business, and me and my family could live of the interest from the stock market pretty much for the rest of my life. Of course something could happen, the entire stock market could crash for 20 years or nuclear wars or whatever, but this is just to get something to track. This is to get a number so that every single month you can chart your progress towards complete financial freedom. I hope you get there, and I'll do my best to help you. That's all for now. I hope this was pretty much easy to grasp. If you have questions, just write them in the comments section. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you like the material. That makes sure that YouTube will show you even more of videos like this. Thanks for now. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.